I am a wife and a mother and an insurance agency owner, a friend, and a PTA advocate. I am so excited to talk about all of the things that I find most precious here within our community, within our lives, and within our faith, friendships, and relationships. Here on Heather's Most Precious.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Heather's Most Precious. I am so excited to introduce today's guest, Mr. Thomas Clark.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. I'm excited about this and to hear all you have to share. Now, you are affiliated with the CFC, also known as the Chattanooga Football Club. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. I have been lucky enough to be along for the ride since the very beginning. First season being back in 2009, but really more the seeds were planted back in 2008 in preparation for that summer season of 2009. So it has been a tremendous ride, and we continue to grow, and it's been a lot of fun going into I should have thought of this beforehand. I get it confused. 17th season or 16th season? Goodness,
it's amazing.
But we never would have thought that it would have come to this. I mean, if you would have asked us back in 2009, even 5 years after we started, if you would have asked us what CFC would look like, we would have laughed at you. Been like, no way. And now, being 15, 16, 17 years later, it is quite surreal for all the original co-founders to have been able to see, and so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, kind of getting to see your baby grow up. So
of course,
it's been great.
Course, and still be along for the ride. That's amazing.
Right. That's right.
So, how did this idea come about for the CFC?
Yeah, sure. It was. There were originally 9 of us that got together. It started with I loved the game of soccer, and I was traveling back and forth to Birmingham to play on a team down there. And I had played in college and wanted to continue to play. I was new to Chattanooga. Moved to Chattanooga in 2006 and summer of 2006, and just kept wanting to play at a higher level. And so I was driving down to Birmingham, and just over the first day I moved to Chattanooga, and that first year was just such an eye-opening. I didn't have any intentions of staying in Chattanooga. Originally, I had job interviews lined up in the Southeast after getting out of active duty Air Force. And so moved to Chattanooga, got to know this amazing community. Just different folks that also loved the game. And so we all kind of got together fall of 2008 and thought it would be a fun idea to start a local amateur club. And just kind of the proverbial snowball got pushed down the hill, and it slowly got bigger and bigger. And then it was a real thing that we were going to do. And so it was really super, just local guys. Mostly all guys that have families that have been in Chattanooga for generations. And so it was every single guy had a different skill set, whether it was branding, Paul Restan from the branding side, or Crew Brock from just wanting to connect and love his city well, and Marshall as well, same in the same tune. And then Tim Kelly, our mayor right now, just being very well networked and knowing a lot of different businesses. I mean, just all the way across. And I mean, I can honestly say that I got to ride the coattails of all these folks that have been local Chattanoogans for their entire life. And so I'm really lucky in that sense that I got to be a part of the beginning steps back in 2009. So
absolutely. That is awesome. And how neat that collectively, you talked about the skill sets that y'all had, that collectively you came together to build what you have now.
Sure.
And that the friendship has remained throughout the years, because business can get tough, right? There's
Sure, yeah.
hardships that develop, and a lot of things under miscommunication kind of fall under that. And so how neat that y'all are still able to do this now. Are all of them still pretty active within the organization?
Things have changed over the last few years. I mean, as we got a little bit bigger, or just kind of, I would say maybe more organized, it didn't demand as much of our time, in the sense that at the very beginning, we were doing absolutely everything. Whether Crew and Holly were in their basement, were printing T-shirts before the game, or I got to play the first 2 seasons, but then after that, I was helping at the ticket booth, and just making sure people knew where to go, how to go about it, and then would just help on the ticket side. And then Tim would be up in the announcer's booth announcing the games, Marshall as well. Game day operations, some of the different co-founders also were in charge of making sure that the game went smoothly. And then Paul on the marketing side, branding side, just throughout the week, like, okay, we got a game coming up this weekend. We got to get word out. And so it really was an all hands on deck for everybody at the very beginning. And so every week we would pretty much have a board meeting. Like the 9 of us would all get together. We'd sit, what went well? Okay, great. That went well. Let's do that again. Oh, that didn't go well. Let's not do that. Let's not do that again. And so we didn't know what we didn't know. And it took a long time to understand what it took to run an amateur soccer team. It was just during the summers. And so it was kind of, we'd prep in the spring by kind of getting a team put together, have tryouts type thing. And that was one thing that we really loved, was having an open tryout every single year. And so I remember that first year that there were some dads that were in their upper 30s, just like with their kids. Just one story I remember very, very vividly was a dad with he was in the goal, and his kids were sitting behind the goal. This was out at Camp Jordan. And his kids got to watch him trying out for a semi-pro or an amateur soccer team, Chattanooga's team. And so it was a lot of fun to just kind of see these little things that started, and then being able to go back and recollect, like, oh man, that's where we've been. And we even still today, we have that open tryout, because we want that opportunity to be wide open for, hey, I want to lace my boots up, and this team may not know anything about me, but I would love to get out and see if I can show, just have a great tryout and see if they can, if I can be a part of it. And so that's something that we plan on doing every single year, no matter what level we're at. It's gone through a lot of change. From, I guess your original question was just kind of our involvement now.
Sure, yeah.
Because we are not, we have been able to hire people that know exactly what they're doing. And so that was slowly but surely, that was, excuse me, that has been a fun thing to kind of see and to really glean off of people that have been in the industry for decades, and bring their expertise and just really open our eyes to being like, oh, that's how marketing should be done, or that's how fundraising should be done. We didn't know. Right. It was just, we didn't know that it took that, because none of us were in that side of the business on an everyday occurrence. And so that has been really neat. We're no longer having to hand out trash bags at the end of the games, and the board. I mean, really, that was one of the eye-opening experiences that my wife, my fiance at the time, before we got married in 2012, was I handed her a black trash bag at the end of the game and didn't tell her that was our responsibility after the game. And I was like, oh, sorry. Yeah, this is just what we do.
Pick it up.
Everybody, there's no one else that's going to clean up the stands, so we have to. Yeah. So sorry, you all right with that? And she was totally cool with it. And so, we've come a long way because we don't have to do that anymore. We're able to hire great folks that do that and hopefully create a lot more professional atmosphere throughout the process. So it's everyone, most everybody still follows along with what's going on, but some involvements are a lot more than others. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I love that. I think there are so many pieces just getting to hear you share, not only how everyone is still involved now, but how you figured it out, right? Part of starting the idea coming to life and not just being a dream that you had on a fun boys' night out, but actually coming to life is the nitty-gritty pieces that you don't think about until you're in it. And so hearing how y'all were able to overcome, and that's what it's about, right? Figuring out what works, changing it if it doesn't. But part of starting something different and starting something new is having to be flexible with not only your time and the time sacrifice and picking up trash after games, but with needing to maybe change the direction you thought you were going to go, and having the flexibility and the mindset to be able to change if you need to, or saying, hey, we did this really well, let's keep it up.
That's right, yeah.
And to see now where you are, which is having this incredible team, and I've met several of them, and they are really great and really represent your brand well. And that has to be really cool to have been able to not only allow these people to step in, but to watch it thrive now.
That's right.
Because it's under these people who are so good at their role, right? That it's allowing it to move ahead. What are you the most proud of? What accomplishment are you the most proud of? I should say within the CFC. I'm sure there's a lot of accomplishments you're proud of.
One thing, I mean, as you were talking, and this is hopefully a continuation of that. I hope this continues, and I think I really think it will. But the passing on of culture is super important to us. Humble beginnings of just kind of, I mean, really, we were expecting to have moms and dads and girlfriends in the stands, and just maybe a couple hundred fans. And in the first game, we had up over 1,500 and a rain delay, and people stuck around, and we hadn't even played a game yet. So it was it was really eye-opening. And so just approaching it from the standpoint that the reason why we're doing this is because we love Chattanooga. I mean, it was such a blessing to be a part of it back in 2009, but it really stemmed from the people that we were doing it with, and the different families, different organizations that represented Chattanooga, and so wanting to just kind of collectively be a part of that as well. And that was one thing that we did in the first few years, and I don't know if any of the listeners have heard this before, but that's something that we share with the new players that come in, and some of the pre-existing players may roll their eyes because like, oh goodness, we got to hear this again. But it is so important to us that not only did they represent Chattanooga on the field, but then also off the field. Them walking around, going grocery shopping in Food City or Publix or wherever, walking downtown, eating in a restaurant, playing with kids in East Chattanooga, in Alton Park. A part of the foundation that we thrive. We really yearn to be really close with. So the foundation, the academy, and the first team, kind of these three legs of a stool that we really try to make sure that there's good interconnectivity between and so that's something that we're really proud of. And just going back to the culture aspect of it's a good burden understand that for the new guys to understand that it's so much more than soccer.
Yeah.
And so it's that's something I'm pride is I don't know the right word, but it is something I'm really I think all of us and the different folks that are part of CFC staff now understand just the continuing of that mission to kind of prop up our city above everything else. And so that's something that that's been really that probably brings me the most joy. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I will say too, a piece that I definitely don't want to skip over when you talk about you still have open tryouts, so that whether it's a dad or someone in the community or someone that loves the game, has a skill set to offer, even if they just want to try out, they're not just having to live vicariously through somebody else or feeling like they missed their opportunity. Y'all are embracing and inviting them in. This is not an exclusive club, right?
Sure.
Y'all are including the community, and you talk about wanting your team, your staff to represent everyone affiliated with CFC, to represent Chattanooga well, to remember kind of who you are and whose you are, and you're living it out by giving people a chance. And as you shared that story, his children getting to see how cool their dad was, that he got this,
right.
whether he made the team or not,
That's right.
he got this opportunity. And that has to be such a neat feeling that y'all are able to give this. And I think that speaks volumes about your organization. That also says it's not just about the win. And a lot of times I think we get lost in that.
Sure.
You want to, obviously, as a sporting organization, you want to win, but that can't be the ultimate. There has to be a heart of it. And I think you're allowing us to see that. So I'm so grateful that you've shared these stories and kind of the structure and layout of the organization as well, the way that y'all have chosen to implement the changes as you have and to watch it grow, because it does allow us to see that the CFC is an organization we want to support, that we can see the heart in it, that we know that y'all are not just in Chattanooga, but for Chattanooga, which I love. Now, we've talked about the adults. Now, do you just have men's team? Do we also have women's team?
No, yeah, absolutely. The women's team as well. There was a little hiatus that we went through here a couple years ago, but it's been great to have them back here over the past couple of years. And so that's they just had their tryouts 2 weekends ago.
Oh.
And their season is more summer season right now, and so they'll be going through the next couple months just through planning of that. And so I am excited for it, because I have 3 little girls, and so I enjoy bringing them to the games and them just watching, and they're still quite young, but and so there's not that the competitive nature isn't. They're not out there studying the game like they will here in 3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
But like just for them to see like, oh, these girls are really good. This is fun. Let's go back. And so it's been great. So yeah. The guys and girls team and funny enough, like my wife and I are hoping to host the women's team once they get into for a dinner.
Oh wow!
And so that's something that just kind of the passing on of who CFC is just we'll have a team dinner with a lot of the co-founders for the guys team here. Later this month, or it might be, I don't know if the date has been set yet. It's either this month or beginning of March. And then the women's team as well. So when the entire team gets here. So it's to let them know that we are so for them. And so that they'll have a lot of screaming. Well, there'll be at least 3 screaming little girls cheering for the women's team here come summertime. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because there is everyone, regardless of where you are in the world, what job you do, how many kids you have. Everyone wants the same things. They want to be seen and known and valued and loved. And so by you implementing that, just that team dinner, just saying, hey, we're glad you're here. You're so much more than a number on a shirt, right? Or jersey, excuse me. But that means so much, right? That has to. And then you, once again, are setting the culture that y'all want to continue to grow.
That's right.
So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you also have an academy. Okay. So outside of the men's and the women's leagues, tell me what that looks like.
Yeah, there's others that could speak a lot more. One of our co-founders, Sheldon Grizzle, I haven't mentioned at this point, but he is on the board with the academy, and does that group does a great job.
Do they?
It's a different board than the CFC board, but but very like-minded in the sense that there are some guys and gals that love the game, want to see the betterment of the game through the youth, and they're killing it. They're doing a great job of helping the CFC Academy side grow. And so I can't give you specifics on as far as ages and everything like that, but maybe one day one of my one or multiple of my girls, I'll be on different soccer fields around the Southeast and in the coming years. But it's a group that is gotten better and better, just through the just the ups and downs of what club soccer goes through.
That's great. And I know you have also kind of where y'all are maybe have school leagues or people that are affiliated, school teams that are affiliated. So I think that's really cool that y'all are not just in the adult realm, but you are also, again, for the community, for the love of soccer, for kids learning not only the game, but kind of being able to hopefully grow up throughout, right? The academy, and then hopefully into the big game, right?
That's the model that is around the world is how teams will really invest in the growth of youth sports, soccer. And so and we've been able to see some of the fruit of that just by some of the local guys, and I'm including kind of Dalton in that as well. But some guys that have grown up knowing the academy side, and they play club soccer, but then they also are playing high school soccer, and then when it comes time to making the decision to go the next level, either go play in college or sign with a pro contract. And so that has been something that has been really neat to see, because it's not something that you see right at the beginning. It takes a long time. It takes many years for the fruit of that to bear. And so that's something that are just now starting to be able to get to see, whether it's a academy player that moves down to Atlanta and is now getting first team experience with Atlanta United, to players that forego college and are playing, that are under contract with CFC now, because they're wanting to pursue a dream. So there's it's really cool to be able to witness firsthand, and hopefully that continues, in the sense that just the development of players, and we'll get to see more Chattanooga kids putting on the blue. So
that's, what an amazing feeling to have at one time co-founded this, right? And again, all of these pieces, and I'm going to keep saying it. I know you're probably like, you've said it 3 times, Heather, but that makes me excited to see what you're doing for the community and the hope that you're giving these kids that may not have another shot outside of this, and kind of the core memory that you're giving them within the experience, even at their age, getting to play and getting to grow in their skill level, and with the hope of becoming more. And I know that with any coaching, there's also a character building and a character shape that happens, that it's not just about how well your fancy footwork can be, but how you are presenting yourself, how you're branding yourself with the team. And I think that's really cool that at these younger ages, y'all are getting a piece of that. You get to invest and you get to grow and you get to shape them into really cool human beings, period, which is a really neat thing.
Yeah,
now,
a more whole person is I would hope that maintains to be the goal of not just a great soccer player, but a great human being too. So,
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, we've talked about CFC, kind of the facets, the model that y'all have set up, and the kind of the history. Where do you see it going? Tell us about kind of this next level.
Yeah, so we are starting a new chapter here this year, with us making the announcement here tail end of last year of switching leagues to MLS Next Pro, and so we know that the overall caliber of player has increased. And so I do not envy our coaching staff, because they have a tall task of raising the overall level of the team. And from what I just the conversations I've had with Coach Rod and Chris and Jordan, and it's well on its way. And so it's I cannot wait. I wasn't able to be up in Knoxville here this last weekend, and unfortunately the weather kind of won. The game got called early in the second half. Excuse me. And so I have not had a chance to see or hear how the guys did. And so, but it takes time, especially with new guys coming in, for you to really mesh and gel with each other. But it will be a very eye-opening experience because of the overall professionalism that MLS brings to the table. And so hopefully, I think we are taking this approach, is that we're going to learn a lot through this, through the very beginning of this, and hopefully allow that to continue to have us grow as well, not only on the field, but then also as a professional organization, our staff, and how we approach every aspect of the in the office, outside the office, how we communicate with the community, and I mean really every single A to Z process that we think we understand. There'll be a great opportunity for us to learn how MLS has done it, and they have shown themselves very willing to teach, and for us to learn from them as well. So we're really looking forward to it. But it will be a high caliber season as far as the level of individual player, and then the overall speed of play out on the pitch. So. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I think it's also encouraging as just the bystander to hear that sometimes people, we lose the humility a little bit. And most people may look at this opportunity like, yeah, we're the best. We're going to go out there and so to hear that y'all are taking an approach of, this is going to be a season of learning. We're going to learn a lot, because that helps us see the bigger picture, that y'all know that this is the next step for y'all to take. You're confident in that, but you also know that you don't know it all, right? There will be challenges that come with that, but I think the way that y'all are approaching it is just very encouraging to hear.
Hopefully we keep that humility.
Yes. That is awesome. Now, we've talked an awful lot about the CFC, which I love. But I would love to talk about who Thomas Clark is outside, because obviously there are so many more pieces of you than just the glorious CFC. So tell us about that.
That is only a part of it. Yeah, I have a beautiful wife. My wife, Laura Helen, and we have 3 little girls, and they are such a joy. Eldest is 8-year-old. Her name's Campbell, and we adopted her when she was brand new, 15 minutes old. We got to meet her for the very first time back in 2016, and then we were lucky enough to get pregnant in 2018. Elson is her name, and she'll be 6 here next month. And then my little firecracker youngest daughter, Holland, who's a brand new 4-year-old. They're so fun. They are such a joy. And so it's fun to see them. I mean, I grew up in sport. I loved playing basketball and running track and playing soccer all through. And so I'd love to, my wife and I are kind of in the process of what are things that they really enjoy, and what can we help them kind of explore more, and if they don't want to do sports, that's great. Let's see if they want to learn an instrument or sing or whatever the case may be. Excuse me. So that we're just in the midst of that like any new parent, it's trying to teach them good values, and even though we're exhausted and tired at the end of the day, we are being stretched with this whole process as well, which is wonderful. And so I just hope we don't scar our children too much.
I think that's all of our hope, right?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's that's kind of my world right there, and we're we want our girls to know Jesus, and so that is something that we are very, very intentional about. And so that's something we try to spend a lot of time helping them understand how we need to, when we've done something wrong, we ask for forgiveness, and try to think of others before ourselves. And so it's as a little kid, I mean, they're only thinking about themselves.
Right,
and so
it's hard to comprehend.
That's right. And so it's and I mean, truth be told, let's be honest, my wife and I we are, sometimes I only want to do what I want to do.
Of course.
And it's, like I said earlier, it's a stretching opportunity, a growing opportunity for my wife and I, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's wonderful.
Yeah. What is it about that fleshly part of us that does seek self-service?
Oh, sure. I think we are all we're all born sinners, and so it's only by the grace of God that that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and so that is you always have to fight that flesh of wanting what I want, and with the understanding that there's so much more to this life, and this isn't the end. So
no, it's not.
So yeah, it's
not.
It's a big responsibility for my wife and I to try to teach our girls that. So, but it will continue all the way until they are off on their own, and we just hope and pray that we've done enough, but at the same time, it's our responsibility to kind of plant seeds, and then for the Holy Spirit to grow those seeds. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
We don't do it very well all the time.
And
that's what we're trying to do.
That's the honesty right there, right? We do what we can for the day, and there is a piece of God has entrusted them to us, and we also trust that he knew who he was giving them to, right? And that he has equipped us with all that we need for today. And if we lay our head down on that pillow at night and we did not have what we thought we needed, we didn't really need it, right? And then we will be ready for the next, God willing. And so parenting is its own, marriage is its own category. And then you add parenting and the jobs and the many hats and the CFC, all of the things that sometimes fight for attention and fight for priority that may not fit. What are some of the ways that you are able to prioritize your marriage with Laura Helen and your girls? Like, what are some of the ways that you're able to do that?
I'm lucky to have so I do. Vocationally, I'm in commercial real estate development, and I'm grateful for the group that I'm working with right now, FTC Development, they have afforded me a great opportunity to work my tail off during the day, but then also have a great balance with family, and in the evenings, after late afternoons, that I get to. That my focus can very much shift to what my family is needing, and so it's I don't feel like I'm working all day long, and so I'm able to focus and even just if there's a school program that that's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, is very easy for me to get to that or a little program in the morning. There's no problem with me attending all of that. And so one thing that my wife and I wish we did better was just spend time with each other, and just have just the two of us, because having kids, it pulls you in a lot of different directions. Right now, basketball practice, basketball games for our two oldest. And so and then just having set times for just the two of us to reconnect, because sometimes it's easier just to collapse on the couch or go to bed or at the end of the day. So we're trying to be more intentional about that. And it is a constant, not struggle, that's not the right word, but it is a constant thing that we need to be reminded of like, hey, how you doing? Yeah. Let's catch up. Let's reconnect. And so.
Because that is so crucial for the household running smoothly, right? Is that intentionality with that relationship. But so often the kids become center of attention, right? And if you're not with them, you wish that you were. You're talking about them, but just having that time. And I know my husband and I, we love being with our kids. I don't even remember us taking a vacation, just the two of us. We are so family oriented, and it sounds like y'all are the same. And wow, that is so great. And I love what we've been able to create in the life we've built for our children, and that they see that we actually like each other and we're really fun together. But at least I tell myself that. I'm the cool mom, right? And if you tell yourself that, you probably aren't. So don't listen. But I think knowing that there is still joy, being able to parent them well, means being on the same page and making sure that your spouse or partner knows that they are valued and appreciated, and that you cannot do this alone, right? Parenting can't be one-sided, and neither can the marriage. And so I think that's good. What are some of the things that you and your precious bride like to do just by yourselves? Are y'all concert goers? Do y'all just like to go out for the night, not cook dinner? What does it look like?
Yeah, no, we like trying new restaurants. And so we tried out Little Coyote in St. Elmo here the week before last, and really enjoyed it. And so that's something we like to do. Aaliyah is our go-to. Yes. Just we love. I mean, that's kind of an anniversary, a special occasion opportunity. We do, and we need to do a better job of just the two of us. But then we also really enjoy community, being with friends and having our girls play with other families that we absolutely love and adore, and we love their kids, and out of our kind of our close group of friends, our kids are some of the youngest. And so Laura Helen and I feel like we're a little bit like pseudo aunts and uncles to a lot of of our friends' kids, and get to. I like messing with some of the boys that my buddy's sons, and because we don't have boys,
of course.
And so I get to have a little bit of rough house with them. But we really enjoy our community, and being with different families that we've really grown close with here over the past 11, 12 years. So, but yeah, we need to have, we have a sweet family that lives right back behind us. And we have, I'm really glad that my wife and our neighbors behind us, that we will trade off babysitting, so we don't have to pay for babysitting, and so that's tremendous. That's great, to where my wife will go over to their house and they'll go out for 2.5, 3 hours or whatnot, and then reciprocate it back. Every month we try to do that, and so we've missed a couple months here and there, but we try to do that at least once a month. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it takes out the thought of it, or I don't want to be an inconvenience for the babysitter, or whatever.
That's right.
Or I don't trust someone with my kids, which I remember at one time was us with little kids. And so I get that you care who they're around, and I love that you brought in community, because sometimes you just being able to, all the kids are playing together and y'all get that adult time, even that can bring y'all so much closer together. Sure. And as you mentioned, your girls are younger. You've got parents that have already been where you are. And so you're not alone.
You get to glean off of good things and not so good things that they have done. And, and we get to learn.
Or even just that encouragement, like, hey, we've been there. It's going to get better. Or, hey, here's some tools that we were able to put in our tool belt that helped, or some resources. And so I think that's the beautiful thing about community. We were not meant to be alone, right? We are meant to live in a village setting.
That's right.
And so how neat to experience your village now, and not just when something bad happens and you realize all of these people come out of the woodwork, which you're grateful for, but to be able to create this village of community that you have. I think that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And this is I guess it's year 12 in your marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
This August will be year 12, so just over 11.
Great.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite thing about marriage in the 12 years?
Oh, a number of things come to mind. It's it's different in we have, like I said, some of our closest friends here in town got married a lot earlier, and so we got married later in our early 30s, and so we were able to enter into it having grown up a little bit more, or at least knowing who we were, which, there's pros and cons with both. You get to either you get married earlier, and you get to learn who you are with your significant other, with your husband, with your wife, and my wife and I are pretty laid back, and so it has been a lot of fun to take what we had learned previously and just I'm really lucky that the Lord put me with Laura Helen, that we just fit well together. And so whether it's traveling, I'm from Colorado originally, and so going and seeing my side of the family, when it was just the two of us, or we go, I have family in Japan, and so we've been able to, before we had kids, Laura Helen and I went to Japan twice, and other parts of Asia, while we were on that side of the world, and so that was a lot of fun, and that's something we plan on continuing to do, but then also just we moved here recently, but our old house, we had this great back porch that we would just sit and just hang out. And we have the same sort of setting, but with the kiddos, it's go, go, go. And so we don't have as much quiet sitting time, but it's, the joy of doing this together, just the two of us, but now doing this together with 3 little ones, is such a blast. And so there are different aspects that bring such joy, that have transpired over the past 11, almost 12 years. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And seasons that change, right? You mentioned, prior to children being able, you could see it took me a while to put out that prior, but being able to travel and being able to have that intentional time to grow together and to learn. And with children, it's still beautiful. It's different. And I think it's wonderful to be able to look back. My husband and I will have been married for 15 years, and I was the 20-year-old who got married. So I was on the other end. I was the baby who had to figure out myself. But I love that marriage has looked different through different seasons, and how you have to be able to, right? Again, with anything, there has to be that flexibility. There has to be that compromise. There has to be that you're going to be able to roll with the tide. And being able, though, to look back and celebrate the seasons that were really great and learn from the seasons that weren't your favorite, because that is how y'all have become who you are today. And the example that you're able to set for your kids and for the newlyweds, or whatever that looks like. So that's a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that part of your life with us.
Absolutely.
That is fantastic. For our listeners, if there is someone who maybe is going through just a really tough time within their relationship, what is a piece of advice that you would give to them on maybe something that they could work on to make it better, or something that they may not have thought of yet?
So a lot of just kind of the growth that my wife and I have gone through over the time, like if there was friction, was going back to how we were talking about how the self-centeredness of that we may have. And I catch myself a good bit, and kind of the dying of self. So just the necessity of, we could almost talk, I don't know how deep this needs to go, but it comes back to, obviously, just relationship with the Lord, and whether it is present or it's not, in the sense of, how is my quiet time, and how is my prayer life? How's my wife's prayer life? How's her quiet time? Just all of this intermixed. Obviously, there are so many different things that can make life challenging, that are outside of that, whether it be the passing of family members, or a diagnosis that is not great, or just different life events that really create a speed bump or a bigger bump. But I'll take it all. Like my wife and I would take it all the way back to, how is our relationship going with the Lord, before how our relationship is going with each other. And so any times that we will have had a real short temper with each other, or with the girls, like, oh goodness, I am super self-centered right now, and not taking care of priorities the way I should be. And so that dying of self, being super important. Sorry. Yeah.
No.
Those thoughts might be kind of scattered, but
You're good.
That's kind of the first thing I can think of. I don't know if that's valuable or not. So.
Yeah. And I think, just like the cross suggests in the shape of it, in order to be okay with others, you have to be okay with him, right? That relationship has to be good for it to go this way. And so I think that there is beautiful truth to that, to knowing where you are. And I think that's a piece of marriage too, is knowing that there is that sense of accountability and you have to be okay. I think a lot of us are good with holding others accountable, but not ourselves, right?
Yeah,
and
the log in my eye, you forget that, I'm great at criticizing and judging other people, but don't do it to me. I mean, that's it's very easy for us to say.
Of course. It all of a sudden becomes offensive.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, ouch, that hurt.
Don't hurt my feelings. Yep.
And those are the moments though that help grow you closer, right? That you are able to come alongside and realize. And I think that's the beauty. We do hurt those that we are the closest to. So if you are in a hard season, in a season where either something has happened to abruptly feel like it is ending your marriage or relationship, or you've spent years and years trying to fix it because you feel like there's a problem, let this be encouragement to you that you can experience growth. Now, I know that both parties have to be willing. I know that there's so much more than us just speaking words after talking about happy marriages, but there is hope for you too. And on a side note, if there's something that we can specifically be praying for, specifically help you in a way, or maybe point you in a direction of a different resource, like please reach out to us. We would love to be a part of your journey and love to help you in any way that we can. You also mentioned another part of your life, the military. Would you mind sharing about that experience with us?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's so growing up on the north side of Colorado Springs, the United States Air Force Academy is right there, and you can see the academy from my high school. And junior year of high school, my dad asked me, "Hey, what are you thinking as far as college? When should we start looking into that a little bit more, and or just kind of where would you like to start doing some research on?" And my opinion was, I want to go to the farthest place I could possibly go, and so I did research on different schools way out of the state of Colorado, and then my senior year, when I had matured just barely anymore, a little bit more, and the realization that I need to make some adult decisions here pretty soon, and those decisions will influence what happens in the future. Started to really look at what does that mean for me to consider a school, and what do I really enjoy doing, and or would love to explore more. And so flying was one of those things. And so the Air Force Academy, the closest place I could have gone, became a little bit more of a consideration. And so that application process is a long application process. It was you really pretty much start towards the very beginning of your senior year, and you go through a lot of different interviews and physicals and just a lot of different testing, and the application process is arduous. And so I was really lucky to be able to have gotten accepted to the Air Force Academy, and it really was a gift to be there and so close to home, because Air Force Academy does a great job of tearing down the individual and building up the team. And so not having any family, immediate family in the military, I kind of understood just because I lived close to the school, but didn't understand as well. And so it was nice to have a little bit of an escape back to my parents' house, my house, to on the weekends, to be able to just decompress and take a breath and then go back at it. And so I got into pilot training after graduation, and I flew for a couple years, and then in 2005, 2006, the Air Force downsized. The Navy actually downsized. They called it force shaping, and so half of my class, I graduated in 2003 from the academy, and half of our class, which was roughly about 500, I graduated with about 950, but we all got asked to leave the armed forces, it had a tremendous amount to do with 9/11 and the huge influx of patriotic, like, I'm going to go serve my country. And so the way it was explained to us was it created a future promotion problem. And so all these young officers were in the armed forces, and we were entering at that time too, in 2003. And so there was a huge bulge of younger ranks, and it created a future promotion problem in the upper ranks. And so I can't say that the government and the Air Force makes the best decisions all the time, but they cut loose half of us, and it just mind-boggling. One of my best friends at the academy, who was he got a full ride to MIT after the academy, and if there was anybody you were gonna not let go, was this gentleman, and he got released too. It was just like, oh goodness, what are you thinking? If you're going to keep anybody, you got to keep Caleb. So anyway, it was quite an experience to go through, but I was stationed and flying down in Columbus, Mississippi, Columbus Air Force Base, and so I'd never lived in the South, and moving to the South was an eye-opening experience.
I'm sure.
Moved in July of 2004 down there, and so I didn't grow up with humidity, and so, but I grew to really love some of the different folks that I met, and I'm still friends with them today that I met in Columbus, and wanted to stay in the South, and so actually a buddy. One of my best friends at the academy, a guy by the name of Ben Payne, he's a Colorado guy too, and one of his closest friends, Chris Cushenberry, who he went to college up at Covenant College, but he's from Denver, and he was in the area, and he threw out an invitation. I got to meet him. Cush is what he's called. And he invited me to come check out Chattanooga, and I fell in love with it. So now Cush is a head soccer coach over at Macaulay. So
that's great.
He's done an incredible job with that program over there. So not a lot to tell on the Air Force side. Just kind of, it was such a. I am very close with a group of those guys that we talk pretty regularly, and as crazy as it is, we just had our 20th reunion here last fall, and it was so fun to reconnect back with a lot of those guys and gals that I was at school there with. So a lot has changed, careers, and some of those guys are still in, having served over 20 years now, and so it's a very different life.
It is
in Chattanooga now, after active duty. So, but it's God put me exactly where I was supposed to go. So,
yeah, I know that had to have been a really hard transition, right, going into the military, especially not really, and even if you knew someone who was serving actively, you experiencing it is so different, isn't it, than that. But having kind of going blindly, and then the way that career ended very abruptly, was a piece of that. Was that difficult for you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, there were a lot of circumstances with kind of getting out. We knew that, so the class of 02, the class ahead of me, went through the same thing in 05. And so we had a hint that there was something that we were going to, in 2006, that something was going to happen because of the previous year. Other circumstances in Columbus kind of led down this road too. But yeah, it was, I wanted to fly. That's what I was thinking I was going to be doing. And so yeah, it was tough part of my life, just with the unknown of what next. Because I thought I was going to be in for 20 years too, and be at my 20-year reunion with other guys that were also in for the previous 20 years as well. So it was very much an adjustment, but I knew I wanted to do kind of vocationally. I wanted to do real estate investing on the side if I was in the armed forces. Mm-hmm. And so then it was that opportunity to be like, okay, that door is closed. Now I can jump headfirst into this other field that I have no experience in, but I'm mm-hmm. interested in. The seeds were planted by my dad with some of the stuff that he did as a middle school math teacher. Just some different things that he had done that I got to see, and that's what sparked the interest.
Yeah, of course.
As a kid. And so, I'm thankful to do it kind of on a everyday basis. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Someone who is going through maybe an unwanted season or a season of transition and a situation that they were unaware, right? Kind of caught them by surprise. What is maybe some advice that you would give, having been there as well, that maybe helped propel you through that?
You mean like a transition from having been someplace vocationally, job wise, and that ending, and that is that from that perspective?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I had said earlier, when I first moved to Chattanooga, the community blew me away, and so much of that had to do with, for example, I moved into a small cabin up on Lookout. It's Crew Brock's cabin, and the sole intent, or one of the intents of the cabin, was just for young men who are seeking after the Lord to live together. And I'm going to butcher the psalm. I think it's Psalm 133, where it's like the oil. It is good for men to live together, and like the oil coming off of Aaron's beard. And I'm not going to do that justice the way I should. But it was great to be in a community that a bunch of young guys that didn't know what they were going to do next, and I fit right in with that. And but I was blown away by how community opened itself up to this random guy that just moved into Chattanooga. And I had met Crew. It was July 3rd, 2006 that I moved to Chattanooga. And that very next day, so on July 4th, Crew came down. He and I had a conversation on the 3rd when I first got there. And that very next day, he comes down the hill with a piece of paper and 5 names on it and 5 phone numbers. And he's like, hey, these 5 guys are expecting your call. You need to reach out to them. And for him to have called these different folks and been like, hey, there's this guy Thomas that just moved here today or yesterday, or he's going to call you just to network. And so that has been something that I was blown away by. And so that transition, I was very much, because of how I got my tail kicked at the Air Force Academy, but I earned my degree. I was very much of the mindset, well, I'm going to get a job because of the degree I have, not through networking. And so it was a learning experience for me of just meeting different folks and seeing, like, I didn't know what opportunities were out there. And so it was just the continuation of networking. And so that's, I don't know if that's helpful just on the transition side of don't do it alone. Really try to seek out meeting different folks. And if that person that you have coffee with, if there's not an opportunity there, she may know of 3 other people that you can, I don't have an opportunity with my business, but call this person. And so that was that networking aspect, kind of like what the way we met, with the BNI, Business Network International. I forget the I. That's such a great way to, whether you are an established company or small business, to a startup, a great way for you to just meet different folks, but then also talk to your neighbor. and talk to different folks at your church. Talk to different coworkers that may have been from 2 jobs ago. So that's, I guess, that just working through that transition, and it may take months and months,
Of course.
but just that process of getting your name back out there was, and for me at that point was introducing myself to Chattanooga, if you will, just, I mean, because I did not know anybody.
Right.
And so it was starting at square one at that point in July of 2006. So,
And look at you now.
well, yeah, it's it is by the works of many other people.
Yes.
That community is what it is today.
It is.
So,
And once again, we are not meant to do this alone. And so having that community is vital for us. And I would say for someone who's in a season that looks hard, looks different than what they anticipated, came abruptly, came by surprise, it's okay to sit in your feelings. It's okay to not enjoy where you are. But just remember, it is like a hotel. It is a nice place to visit. It is not a place that you would want to live. And just remind yourself that sometimes we spend too much time being upset with what changed and why we didn't agree with what changed, and we may miss the opportunity that's ahead. So I hope that the words that Thomas shared would provide encouragement and would maybe provide even just the first stepping stone to a path that you could take to see if it's something that could offer hope and encouragement and maybe the next opportunity for you. I'm so grateful for all of the things that we were able to talk about today, from the Chattanooga Football Club to marriage and parenting and your Air Force experience and the loss of jobs and the opportunity for new doors to open. I've loved our conversation.
thanks so much for having me, Heather.
Absolutely. I would love to know in closing, and in true Heather's Most Precious fashion, what do you find most precious?
My family.
Yeah.
My family is, I love waking up my little girls in the morning and the hug that you get when they're still half asleep, and sleeping next to my bride, and then every once in a while I have a little one that's sleeping in the bed as well, and dropping them off at school, and the excitement, the hugs that I get when I get back home after work, and then us sitting down for dinner and talking about what's going on. We don't get very much from them, right?
Of course.
They don't say very much. That was good. And so having to think of different questions to get them to think about different ways to answer, not just it was good, my day was good, but that is most precious to me. My family is such a joy. You had said earlier, if there were any prayer requests, I'd love for, if there is anything that ever comes out of that, if you just email that to me.
Absolutely.
So my wife and I can pray for it too. That'd be awesome.
Yes, would love that.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, your family and trying to pull out of your children. At the end of the day, we get a lot of, my boys are 14 and 9. I get a lot of nothing. Oh, really? You didn't do anything today?
Did absolutely nothing.
Yes. And my favorite questions are, especially for my younger son who's still in elementary, like, so who did you sit next to at lunch? Was it an elephant or a hippo? Okay. And just because then, I didn't, we're not at the zoo. But anyway, regardless if it's sarcastic, at least gets a conversation started. Right. So kids are so fun on so many levels. Sure. Even the times when they're teenagers. So remember, it does get better.
It's coming.
One day.
It's coming. Yep.
Well, thank you so much. Y'all, I hope that y'all have enjoyed listening as much as we have enjoyed communicating with each other today. And I hope that you will remember this week, above all else, that you are seen and known and loved. And as always, if there's anything that we could do, please reach out. I also hope that this week you will choose to be kind, choose to be grateful, and choose to encourage. And we will see you next week for another episode of Heather's Most Precious. Thanks, y'all.
Heather's Most Precious is brought to you with love by the Hendrickson Agency, an insurance agency serving all of Georgia and Tennessee. The Hendrickson Agency, properly protecting your most precious possessions. Support for Heather's Most Precious is provided by Study.com, which offers SAT and ACT study materials and even has resources for AP and college credit courses. Listeners of Heather's Most Precious get 30% off their first 3 months of any subscription level with offer code PRECIOUS. Just go to Study.com and use offer code PRECIOUS at checkout. Heather's Most Precious is produced by Chattanooga Podcast Studios and is part of the Podnooga Network. Find out more at ChattanoogaPodcastStudios.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back soon with another episode of Heather's Most Precious.